most readers, I love tracking my yearly progress with things like Goodreads and Fable, with this year's goal being set at 50 books. Now, ideally broken down, that's about 40 actual books and then hopefully 10 plays. But recently, while scrolling,
all of a sudden, I hear this agitating, grating voice.
Goodreads rather loudly notified me that I am in fact 3 whole books behind schedule as of August 2025, with Fable recommending a pace of about 5 books per month in order to get back on track. So this video is just that, me trying to catch up on my reading goal. Okay, we have chosen the esteemed first book for today's video, and that is going to be Educated by Tara Westover. This is actually my book club's pick for August, so what better time to read this? But this is actually the perfect book for a couple reasons. Not only is it another book towards our reading goal, which is the whole point of this video, but upon looking further at our reading goals for 2025, I have a goal to use my library more. I checked this book out from the New York Public Library, and I also have a goal to read memoirs, which this book is. This is actually going to be the very first memoir that I have ever read. I did once upon a time get about halfway through The Actor's Life, a survival guide by Jenna Fischer. I don't even think this is really a memoir. It's just like her experience of breaking out into the acting industry and tips for how you can do it as well. Some life experience mixed with let me be your teacher so that you don't struggle as bad as I did. Didn't even end up finishing it though, because I remember when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll just do things along with her as she's describing them in the book. And then I got to the part where it said, get an agent. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot harder than I thought. So still in the process of checking that one off. Only 40 pages into it, so not super far, but I just wanted to, not the playbill being my bookmark, but I just wanted to introduce you to our first pick for this video. This is really wonderful so far. It's reading like a fictional narrative. It's very linear. We're starting off with Tara Westover when she was a child, and I'm assuming it's just gonna go all the way up to where she is now. Literally, it says, Educated is an account of the struggle for self-invention. It is a tale of fierce family loyalty and of the grief that comes of severing one's closest ties. A universal coming-of-age story that gets to the heart of what an education is and what it offers. The perspective to see one's life through new eyes and the will to change it. What we have learned so far in 40 pages, Tara Westover has grown up in a very fundamentalist family, which I have never really heard of before. They are very closed off from society. It is not a very big town. Her dad works on a junkyard that is on the property. Her mom is an herbalist and a midwife. Her dad is very heavily involved in the church, does not like the government. He thinks that hospitals, science, and medicine are just a ploy for the government to move you farther away from God's plan. It says, other than one instance in which her sister broke an arm and she had to go to the hospital for a cast, they did not go to hospitals growing up. They do not go to school. They don't even have birth certificates. She has, I think, 6 siblings. 3 of her siblings, including herself, didn't even grow up with birth certificates until they were like 8 or 9, I believe. Grew up in a survivalist household that was always talking about the end of days when God would return to earth, spending some of their summers canning peaches, just living off the land, fully self-sustained. And just for a little bit of insight into where Tara Westover is today, she currently holds a PhD in history from Harvard University. She ended up getting a Gates Cambridge scholarship, Trinity College, Cambridge in 2009. She was a visiting fellow at Harvard University first. As it said in the synopsis, education is the sole focus of this book, and how knowing things about history and the world around you and how life works and just being exposed to different perspectives is incredibly crucial to human development.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
Yeah, I don't even know what else to say other than that. This is literally an ode to education and its importance, coming from a girl who grew up very sheltered and somehow found her way out of that situation. It's also super interesting because they're very much outcasts in the family for this way of thinking. The grandparents believe that these children should be in school, not just holed up working on the farm their whole life. When something's wrong, they agree that they should go to a hospital and not just use tinctures and herbs to try to cure things. And it's very interesting. We've learned a little bit about the mom's profession and how she started to be a midwife, and it actually was like the husband's idea, saying that it's God's plan for her to help people deliver their babies and bring them into this world. But it obviously brings up a very good point about how in Idaho, which is where they're living at the time, midwifery isn't illegal, but it's not sanctioned by the government. And so God forbid something were to happen, a patient were to die, you could be thrown in jail for manslaughter because you didn't bring somebody help, making yourself responsible for the outcome of this thing. And it talks about in here how the mom had come home from a couple different deliveries and said it was horrible and traumatizing, and she didn't even want to do it, but her husband was like, no, this is the plan for your life. Some of the women that she delivered their babies could not stop hemorrhaging. They almost lost the baby. Like, it is literally playing with life or death at home. It's playing doctor and hoping to God that it goes right.
Hi, I am in the middle of a rabbit hole right now looking up the timeline of
midwifery, specifically midwifery in Idaho. I was just trying to compare it with timelines and stuff because in this, it distinctly says that her mom for a long time was like the only midwife in Miles. All of it kind of depended on her. And I looked up when Tara Westover was born and it said 1986. So by this time it would have been like the mid 90s. Sometime in the 80s, the Idaho Midwifery Council was actually established. And today I just want to make it clear that midwives are a certified profession. There are CNM certified nurse midwives and then just CM certified midwives. They both go through the same certification exam, but one of them, the CNMs, are actual registered nurses. But I just want to slay on midwives because it is now a certified profession. But at this time, clearly it was just something that they were doing off the books and you could seriously get in trouble for it. And not that they didn't, know things, but it definitely does stress the importance that like if something went wrong, they could seriously face criminal charges for it. And I'm learning way too much. But I just wanted to say that if you're a midwife, slay. But it does say on the first page, the author's note, this story is not about Mormonism, neither is it about any other form of religious belief. In it, there are many types of people, some believers, some not, some kind, some not. The author disputes any correlation, positive or negative, between the two. And I'm very intrigued to read more. Like I said, it's Monday. My book club meeting for this is on Wednesday, but we're gonna continue reading. Makes me so unbelievably sad. It feels weird to say that I'm like really liking it because nothing that we're going through is necessarily happy or even remotely good. There are just so many baffling moments of this. Maybe I'm just so used to reading fictional stories that I'm reading it and I'm like, wow, our character is going through a lot. And then I like have this moment where I'm soberingly reminded that this is a real woman and this was her real childhood. Not only that, but like in places like this, obviously during this same exact time when she was growing up, she's not the only person to have ever grown up this way, and she will not be the last person to ever grow up this way. There are people today that still grow up with the same ideals. I'm not going to go into any more details about her life, kind of like I did the first day, where I was at least giving you more backstory about the things that I had read thus far. I'm currently on page 119. I used the audiobook all last night, which was really nice because book club is literally today and I'm only on page 119 out of 329. And I don't normally go for audiobooks because sometimes when it's a fictional story, it just confuses me. I don't really like it. I tried to read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies and I think I got about halfway through that with the audiobook on Spotify. Something about it, I was just getting like really distracted while I was doing tasks and trying to listen to it. It was really hard for me to like imagine the world the same way that I would if I just read it, but I didn't own the physical copy of the book, so I actually just DNF'd that. Never finished it, have no idea what happens. It was good though. And then I remember the first time I ever tried to do an audiobook, it was for Icebreaker. No idea, and not the parts of Icebreaker that you're thinking. It was just for like randomly the build up. I was trying to do laundry and I was like, I'm gonna be an audiobook girly. Awful. It was narrated by a man, which isn't even the worst part. It was just the fact that like Anastasia's voice was like everything that she said was being said by a man, and it just like it reminded me how like I don't want to touch audiobooks for fictional books because if the voices that they're using don't match with what I've conjured in my head, I feel like it's gonna ruin the whole experience, especially if it's like a romance, which that one I was not connected to, but it was just the fact. Anyway, my point being that I have really been loving the audiobook of this though, because since it's a nonfiction, it's a memoir, it's giving very much like TED Talk vibes, and it's actually making me understand it and connect to it more. Narrated by Julia Whalen, absolutely wonderful. I cannot believe this is happening to a real person, and that's also a testament I think to the writing, because the writing feels so, I don't even know how to describe it. It feels very similar to like Go as a River by Shelley Reed, which I read before. That's fictional. I don't know, it's just like the descriptions of the land that like set you right where they are. I think the dialogue is really helping as well. It's not just entirely Tara recounting all of this stuff, like you are in her head. She's reenacting some of these scenes, you're getting to see how they played out in real time, and so it's really helping because you're getting to feel like you were there as a fly on the wall observing all of this throughout her childhood, and it's devastating. Cannot reiterate enough how devastating it is, like the things that are happening, just the way that this lifestyle has created unimaginable suffering for herself and for the people around her. There are good days, but the bad are just so avoidable and preventable. It's definitely something that when I'm finished reading it, I'm sure it will sit with me for a very long time. It already is on my mind 24/7 when I'm not actively consuming it, so.
woman was too stunned to speak.
I'm sitting here listening to the audiobook. I don't know where I'm at. I think I'm one chapter past. It's called Sulfur something. I don't remember what number it is and I'm not looking at it right now. I just can't believe what I'm hearing. Remember when we started this book and I was like, I'm baffled. It continues to get worse. It just continues to get worse. All I'm gonna say is I don't understand how these people are alive. With my full chest, none of these people should be alive and breathing. This is crazy. That's all I have to say. So I'm not actually finished with this yet. It's currently Saturday. Book club was on Wednesday. So I have already gotten all the spoilers for the end of this book, which is totally fine. Usually I don't like to go to book club unless I finish it, because obviously, especially if I'm really invested in the book, I don't want to have it spoiled for me. I want to see it play out. But with this, just because it's memoir, I feel like it's a little bit different. So I was totally comfortable with it, especially because I was loving it so much leading up to that point that it was just like, I'm gonna finish it anyway. I don't really mind. All that being said, still listening to the audiobook very casually, still cannot believe the things that I'm hearing. I think I'm already gonna confidently give it a 5 stars. I know I haven't even finished it yet, but really, I just am having so much fun hearing her story. She really is just like an incredible woman that I can't believe got as far as she did. I'm also loving the people in her life that have looked out for her in her childhood and present day. Right now, she's currently in her schooling at Cambridge. Not only are there just so many things that are happening to this family that I cannot believe they have survived and persevered through, but like just her, you know how they always talk about like ending the cycles of generational trauma and like how you have to grow up and just right all of the wrongs that have been bestowed upon you so that you don't carry them on into your children and just the people that you get to influence in your life. I just can't believe her, not even enthusiasm to want to do that, because she has a hard time with it, but it's just like her perseverance and her thirst for knowledge, even the ways in which she has this like contradictory thirst for knowledge, but these internal feelings of struggle that are so deeply rooted into her being based on the way that she's grown up. That internal battle is crazy in and of itself. Like, it's not super easy for her to, of course, abandon everything that she's been told, even as she's actively learning that the things she's been told are incorrect and are not real. Even though she's had all of these inaccuracies constantly pointed out to her, her sense of self has just been so entwined with the verbiage that she has heard growing up. And it's really interesting to hear how the verbiage of her parents, especially now that she's had some sort of separation from them in their dynamic while she's at school particularly, how it affects other people in her parents' lives and how they kind of gain a following of their own. I have a friend who was recently reading the book Cultish, I believe it's called, and it's a book about language of cults and how they can entice people. And it's very interesting in this as well to like hear how that is sort of starting and how she's noticing that now that she's having the separation from it. Absolutely loving it. Hi. I'm not filming myself while I'm finishing the audiobook. I'm just putting my dishes away. Did you see? I'm pretty sure a tear just like flew across the air. What is this? My New York apartment. Perfect. I don't know why it felt sort of important for me to document that I'm sitting here crying while finishing this. It is just killing me. The things that she's had to go through, and I know I just keep repeating myself, but I don't want to like give too many details. I feel like a lot of times when I read books, I give way too much information, and obviously I want this to be spoiler free. I want you to experience it for yourself, but oh my god, there's just so much that she is going through and so much that her parents enabled to happen to her, and it makes me so unbelievably sad. Her brother, I'm just gonna say that she's a ton of siblings, so this isn't even really a spoiler because you won't know which one unless you read it, but her brother is an abuser, and I wish I would go to war for Tara Westover, and I wish I could throw such hands with this man and with her parents and with everybody that allows things to happen to her because they are so manipulated and brainwashed. And that is all I just want to say. 5 stars. I mean, I'm not even done with it, but it's 5 stars. It's 5 stars. It's 5 stars. Quickly to add in, not just her, not just the things that have happened to her that her parents enabled, but I also just feel so bad for the other women in this book and just the point of view of how women should be, and the talking about protecting women's virtue, and the talking about young girls and how young girls can be too promiscuous and they should learn to behave in a way, and not even learn to behave in a way, but they should be reprimanded in a way that reminds them that they should not be like eye-catching to other people. I just like, there are so many people that have been wronged in this book, and there are so many things that are avoidable and preventable if someone just spoke up about them, not only for Tara but for the other women in this book. There are so many people in this fuck-ass dynamic of family members that have gone through so much. As 5 star as a 5-star could get. And honestly, if you just watched my last video where I read Summer Romances for a week and I read One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, I gave most of that book a 5 out of star. For most of that book, heavily predicting it was going to be a 5-star. I ended up giving it a 4.75. And I was like, maybe it's a 5 because I just like love Charlie Flork so much. But I do mention in that video how 5 stars is a feeling, and this gave me every ounce of that feeling. I was not expecting to be as blown away by this as I was. I think the only things that I want to say about it that I didn't already say was that in the beginning when I mentioned that this book is a lot about education, there is so much else going on beyond that. We do focus on Tara going to school. That is a big part of her journey. Obviously, her getting an education and learning about the world around her is what started this monumental change in self and also opened this huge gap from how she was and who she used to be to the woman that she sought to become. But in that, it's mainly about self-invention. There's a beautiful part of this that talks about how self-invention comes from the ability to forge your own ideals. I want to say this in the most like clear way possible. I just feel like, I'm sorry, I'm like still, I loved this and it's just so much to think about and sit with. Tara was able to invent herself separately from how she grew up. She was able to establish her own thoughts and opinions from taking in these different perspectives. This actually focuses less on her actual education than this does on the family dynamics that are corrupt in this book, and on the fact that the girl that she was a product, a direct product of a head of house who bulldozes everyone else's thoughts and opinions and forges their ideals under his own without zero inspection or retaliation. The father-daughter dynamic in this, oh my god. This is about education, but this is about corrupt family dynamics at its core. What I will say is that this book was very, very emotional. I think that you should proceed with caution if you are sensitive to mentions of domestic violence. And there is such crazy, erratic, bipolar, abuser behavior in this that is so scary, and I don't think I'm gonna stop thinking about it for a very long time. Like, it has so deeply impacted me. The moments that I dropped my jaw on the floor just because there were shocking things that happened, like there's so much going on underneath. There's so many layers at play here. The way that people respond to things versus the way that they just miss things versus the way that they cover everything up as a religious belief is crazy. This spiel right here isn't even trying to like hate on religion, but the amount of things that were justified because they thought that their will and their interpretation of God's will was actually better than everybody else's. It's just horrible. It just subjects people to so much pain and suffering. Sorry. Anyway, I don't even know where I'm going with this. 5-star. I'm gonna stop talking about it, but please read it if you have a chance. Just here to update you on where we are at. We've started our final book for the video. It's going to be A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. Life update wise, video filming wise, I have not touched this in a couple days. I have not read in a couple days. I went through a really exciting like audition callback process this past week, so I was solely focused on that. I did read a couple plays for like monologue research, but I didn't read any actual books until we picked up this one, which incredibly exciting. I got that show. It's my very first show in New York City. I'm like literally over the moon excited about it, and rehearsals start on Saturday. Today is September 2nd. They start the 6th. I started this back in May when I was in my reading slump. If you saw my trying to get out of a reading slump reading vlog, that was what I was talking about. Essentially, I was filming a video before that. I picked it up. I quickly put it down after 75 pages in. That's also the same time when I saw DNF Sunrise on the Reaping. There were literally so many books during that time that I picked up and promptly put back down because I was growing more illiterate with each passing day. Thankfully, we're out of that, and I decided to pick this up again just because I feel like it's going to be a good transition book for the fall. So this is actually set in the winter time, which I didn't realize until I repicked it back up. I do just remember it being like set in the middle of the woods. It's a mystery, magical realism-esque book. Also, it's super short, 273 pages. Over the past couple of days before that audition thing happened, skimmed through it, just went over everything that I'd read thus far. Like I said, I left off on page 75, which was around chapter 7. I actually remembered a lot more about this book than I thought that I would. It's weird because I was in a slump and obviously I wasn't focused enough to the point where I put it down, but like I was so hyper present on the details of this book that I remembered way more of it than I thought I would. I'm kind of like in the middle of a chapter. I'm on page 102, which I believe is the middle of chapter 9. I'm not gonna lie, stopping and starting a book so many times, it's kind of hard to just ever fully get back into the story like you once probably would have if you just read it all the way through. So I'm not gonna say that I'm like super invested in this, even though I'm farther than I was. You know, I'm enjoying reading the story, but I'm just like not as invested as I probably could be. It's totally fine though. I just want to get it done. I mean, like, if I put it down another time, I will never pick it back up. We have our main character of James Golden. She is going back to her small town of Six Rivers, California. The reason that she's going back is because her twin brother Johnny has recently passed away. Now, she hasn't been to this town, and I think it says like 20 years. We also learn there's two mysteries in one with this book. She's back in the town to try to figure out what happened to her brother Johnny because she sort of suspects there was some foul play the day that he died. He essentially died in the middle of the woods. It was labeled as a hunting accident, but there's just some things that don't really add up about the story. So she's back under the guise of like trying to get his work in order that he was doing. He's essentially like a wildlife photographer documenting species in the area. So she's going back, telling everyone that she's going to like gather up his belongings so she can send them off to this conservation project that he was working for. But really, she's going to also try to figure out what happened on the day that he died. In that mystery, there's also a mystery for the reader. There's nothing actively going on, but there's clearly something that happened in this very small town regarding her twin brother Johnny, and this other guy, Micah. There was like some sort of a killing with the town's golden boy, but it's giving very unreliable narrator vibes because obviously our main character James was directly involved in this and has worked very hard to distance herself from this, and like it was the deciding factor the day after she turned 18 to completely completely flee the city. Something very bad clearly happened, but we don't know what. She won't tell us very much about it, obviously. So there's like two things, one mystery that we're kind of figuring out, and then a mystery that we're actively figuring out through James's eyes. A very interesting magical realism aspect to this book is the fact that her and Johnny have a very metaphysical connection, as it's described in here. A couple times in her life growing up, she's actually been able to see through Johnny's eyes, see exactly what he's seeing, feel what his body is feeling. The first time that it happens in this book that she uses as like the prime example is when they went cliff jumping. She was down in the water while her brother Johnny was up on the cliff getting ready to jump over the edge, and she was able to actually like see the water as he was looking down at it. She felt her stomach drop in this rush of adrenaline when he jumped off the cliff, and she essentially like felt herself sucked under the water. And so because of this weird connection that they have that she doesn't even have an explanation for, she was able to feel the moment that her brother passed away. She does have like images that she can recall of what his eyes were seeing as he was laying on the forest floor, like looking up at the canopy above. She was able to see that and feel exactly like the part of his body that was hit by the stray bullet in the woods. So she knew that her brother passed away before she even received official word of it. And so that's the whole other element going on in this book. We have a mystery of what happened to her twin brother. We have the fact that she has this deep-rooted connection to her twin that she's always felt throughout her life, and now that she's back in the places that he used to inhabit in their family home where he since stayed and spent the rest of his life, she can't really tell if she can sort of communicate with him now that he's passed over. She's trying to enlist the help of Micah. Micah is also like her first love, so she has a lot of tension with this Micah character as well. The forest is a character of its own in this book. It is adding so much tension and claustrophobia to the story. It's very personified in the writing. Lots going on in this. We should get cooking on this so that we finish it soon and hopefully figure out what the hell's going on. It is late. I'm showered, if you can hear. It is raining. I am reading Chef's Kiss. We're currently on page 153, learning some interesting information about what we think happened to Johnny, just what happened that day before he passed away. Not loving my man Johnny so much. He's being painted in a horrible light. Ladies and gentlemen, we have thunder. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. No, I woke up at 5. Well, I woke up at 5, fell back asleep on accident, and then got up at 5:15. I had a catering shift from 6:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. today. This is about to be the best sleep of my life. Anyway, sorry. The rain has quieted down a little bit. It's very loud when it rains in our room because our metal AC unit is what catches all of the droplets. But anyway, yeah, not loving our narrator, not loving the story. We somehow got like a one bed moment. It's getting a little repetitive in the double mystery of it all. Like at this point I'm like, I don't even care what happened to this old guy. It is just getting a little bit repetitive in the nature of like their relationship as in the two of them to the town and the people in the town. It's clearly damaged. They're struggling with a lot, and she just like keeps reminding us how she carries that energy with her everywhere she goes. It makes sense, and at this point I'm like, I don't even really care. Let me just know what happened to your brother. Also, like I said, at this point we're learning some stuff about her brother that I'm like, I have exactly 40 pages left. I don't really know what is gonna happen. I've been kind of disconnected from reading it. I think for a while, especially when I updated last night, I was just kind of like, I don't even care what the second mystery was. We ended up finding out what happened about that. So the mystery for the reader has been fully cleared up. Some other things have come to light as well, where there's like more than one person involved that we're like kind of looking at. I don't know, but like it also kind of seems like some things just got cleared up maybe, or we're abandoning them for the time being. I don't really know. I'm hoping that things get a little bit more exciting. A lot of elements at play right now. Look at us. We made it. Never thought I would see this day. We have finally finished A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. So let's talk about it. This book I feel very indifferent on. I did enjoy my time reading it, and I enjoyed my time being in this world. Not that there's any like crazy world building that goes on, but like I did enjoy being with these characters in the woods.
Come on, girl, you got walkers all around you. They're in the woods.
Lots of different dynamics at play with the people who remained in the town versus her coming back under these weird circumstances. I didn't really like love or overly bond to our main character. The writing was a little bit repetitive in the middle there, as I briefly mentioned. We get it, your brother is a little bit of a train wreck. You've always had to look out for him, cover for him. This book is a lot about the things that you do for family. We eventually found out what happened with that mystery for us as the reader. It was fine, like it wasn't incredibly shocking or anything. Honestly, for a while I feel like, I don't want to say that we lost the plot because it was still very much in the realm of everything going on pertaining to her brother, but then we kind of like started focusing on other characters and it became about something else. I was happy with where we left off. We ended up getting like 5 mysteries in this book, really. It was weird because this book felt a little bit long at parts and it's less than 300 pages, so I don't really know why I feel that way. I like the overall vibe. Sometimes the way that the writing would end off at like the end of each chapter, it was just a little bit like, say what you mean to say. Get on with it already. There was also like an odd one bed trope moment, like pertaining to the romance subplot that we mentioned earlier with her first love, Micah. That's not really a spoiler because also it's not really what you're thinking of a stereotypical one bed trope, because this does not fall under romance really at all, but there is that subplot in there and I just kind of thought it was like a little bit awkward and weird. I bought into the fact that they had tension and they're traumatized and these people have like a weird on again off again relationship already, so that was a little bit interesting to me. I think the whole thing about this book is I just feel very indifferent about it. I think I'm just gonna give it like a 3 stars. I put 3.25 on Fable, and then when I did that I was kind of like, 3.25, what the hell does that even mean? Honestly, should I just give it 3.5 because that's like a 50%, you know what I mean, half of 5 stars? But no, I mean honestly this can sit at 3. I just have zero compelling feelings to give it more, if that makes sense. I would still recommend it though, especially because it's so short. One thing I do want to say is that I don't read mysteries very often. The first mystery thriller that I ever read was A Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, and then If We Were Villains, I guess, which is definitely like a mystery whodunit vibe. Those are the 2 other things that I've read. So if this is your bag, if this is your go-to genre, I wouldn't say that this is gonna be like overly impressive to you or anything. I just think that like I enjoyed going along with the mystery, and then sometimes when I didn't, I also didn't. But you know what I mean? I enjoyed the reveals that were happening, but this is not like crazy by any means. And if you eat, sleep, and breathe that genre, I'd actually be interested to hear what you think about this. It definitely makes me want to get into more mysteries because they are fun. It's fun to like theorize as it's going on, as more information is revealed, what really happened and who's lying. And it's also fun. I would like to read more of them just to learn the structure of mysteries more. I know that would kind of suck because then everything you read would probably end up being predictable, but like it is interesting to see like the characters that get mentioned the most. Is that done in a way to like desensitize you to their presence? So it's like, oh, it can't be this guy. We see and talk to him all the time, and then he ends up turning out to be the one, or is it the person who does this or that? Like, it's interesting to find out what makes a good and compelling mystery. The only other thing I'm gonna say is I didn't really mind this, but the magical realism aspect of like them having a metaphysical connection, her stepping into her brother's shoes, eyes, body, experiencing everything that he does. We did go more into that and expand a little bit from what I mentioned in the beginning, but I will say that there's never an explanation for that, which is totally fine. I didn't mind it, but if you're somebody who like wants every aspect of something to be explained, it's just not. The only reason I wanted to like mention that is because I know Ashley Poston books all have like a magical realism element to them as well, but they're never explained. It's just something that like adds a layer to the story, but it's not something that you're actively getting to the bottom of. And that's kind of the same way that I felt with this. But yeah, oh my god, we did it. This is so exciting. We have 3 new reads on the dock. We had a 5-star in this video. I literally have never found a 5-star before. I've come so close. You've seen me so many times. So a new book, a new fresh book on this channel we have not found yet, and that is so exciting. So we have Educated by Tara Westover, whopping big 5 stars. Please check it out. Oh my god, everyone should read it. We have a play. I don't even know which one I ended up mentioning in this video because I did read a couple, but play, here we go. And then Sea of Unspoken Things. What a great lineup, you guys. Now that I start my rehearsals soon, I don't know what reading for me is gonna look like in the future, but hopefully we're gonna dive into some fall vlogs, some fall reading vlogs. Oh my god, I'm itching for those vibes. I think I have 1 summer book left in me. I'm really itching to do a reread of Happy Place by Emily Henry just so I can know my official Emily Henry ranking. But other than that, it's time to get into some fantasy. It's time to get into some more fun mysteries. Leave recommendations in the comments. I hope you guys have an incredibly wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.